Hey everyone, this is Tim the electrician. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm on a job site here. What I'm doing is I'm going to be putting in some outdoor receptacles on the front of this house, and so I'm putting a GFI receptacle on the panel board. I'm running a wire. Right now I'm standing underneath the front porch to the house, and the intention is that I'm going to be fishing a wire up the wall to be able to put a switch in the inside hallway to be able to control those outside receptacles I'm going to be putting in, so that the owner here can just turn if he puts Christmas lights out or whatever, he can just turn them on with a switch inside the house. It doesn't have to go outside to plug and unplug his Christmas lights or anything else for that matter. So I thought I would show how to explore and fish a wire, find a good location, and to actually be able to fish a wire up a wall. Now, there's a lot of videos out there about stuff like putting in switches and things like that, but there's a lot of things with electrical work where there's some learned experiences that aren't always evident in videos, and sometimes they kind of brush over them, frankly, because a lot of times it's not real interesting, but it's critical to know how to do in order to be able to do an electrical job correctly. And there's a lot of things like that, and this is one of them. So I just thought I would go through real quick on how to determine where the best place is and how to actually physically drill up into a wall space so that you can fish a wire up to put a switch or receptacle or anything for that matter. And this is specifically doing it from in a basement that does not have a finished off ceiling. So I have opened floor joists above my head here, and so I'm going to just kind of go through the process of determining a good location and then safely drilling up into the wall space so that you don't do any damage. Certainly you don't want to drill up through the floor into the upstairs. You want to make sure you are in the wall space, and so doing this in a way that causes the least amount of damage. So let's start that. We'll go through that now. Okay, I had to adjust the camera. So I've measured over into this space. I found upstairs where I think that the space is open between the studs. Now I measured over from the wall going into the house. It's a little tough to explain, but this is a step down coming out of the house into the front hall, and so this area right here is right below. Sorry, you can't see. This area right here is right below the wall space going into, or right below the step going into the living room. And so I measured over about 9 inches from the outside of that wall. So just to get a rough approximation, I measured over 9 inches. Sorry about the shadow, but I measured over 9 inches. I'll do it from here. Measured over 9 inches, and that comes into right about the center of this space here, which is also going to coincide and be just about the center of the space between the studs upstairs. So I've kind of done that preliminary work. There's a couple things that you want to take into consideration. The first and the most important thing is the thickness of the wall that you're trying to drill up into. And so normally you've got a 2x4 plate that's sitting up on top of the decking material here. So you've got a 2x4 plate. It's the width of a 2x4, so it's about 3.5 inches, give or take, depending on the age of the house. And you've got 2 of those. Usually they're stacked on top of each other. So you've got 3.5 inches wide by about 3 inches, because they're 1.5 inches thick each. They're about 3 inches thick. So you're going to have to drill up through those in order to get up into the wall space. So you want to figure, and over time you'll get a feel for it. But you can always put a mark, say 3.5 inches. Put a scratch a mark there, so you can see. And I'll move it closer when I actually get into doing the work. But so I've got a mark there now. It's about 3.5 inches. So I know that that's approximately. This board that you see here, this is the outside of the house. So when I drill these plugs in the outside, I'm going to be drilling through this, and that's going to put me to the outside of the house. So the wall is sitting on top of this, but the 2x4, it's resting on top of this. Actually, should have accounted for that. the 2x4 is sitting on top of this, you just have to subtract the thickness of what this board would be, and this is going to be, this looks like it's a 2x10, so it's going to be 1.5 by 9.5, so it's 1.5 thick. So you take 1.5 thick and you subtract that from the width of the 2x4, which would be about 3.5, so that would give you about 2 inches. So you want to figure that, you know, you're going to be in this area, you're about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches out. So the most important thing is, obviously you're not going to want to drill up into the floor. You don't want your drill coming up through the floor. You want it to come up in the wall space. And there's a couple things you have to consider. One is that thickness of that plate. That's going to be 3 inches thick. So you know, you can use a small bit if you want, a regular drill bit. They tend to only be, you know, whatever, 3-4 inches at the most, and they're small, and it would work. It would work. I like to use these spade bits. They seem to be nice, and one of the reasons is because, you know, that tip there is gonna come through before anything else. So you can just kind of, it's not like a worm drill bit that, or a regular twist drill bit that could tend to want to pull upward. You know, you can just kind of slowly go and just chip away at the hole you're making, so that you can go slowly and controlled. And you're gonna want to. I'll show you, and I'll move the camera, but I'll show you the angle you're going to do. Okay, hopefully you can see this good, but you can see my marks. You can see the marks I made here. I'm going to go by this mark that's farther back. That's what I'm considering to be. That's going to be to get inside the wall. Now, you got to remember that your drill bit, and a lot of times like this, it's going in on an angle, and so you got to kind of account for that. You don't want to be going in too much of an angle, because you certainly don't want to drill outside, you know, out of the house. And it's generally, you're not going to be able to drill straight up just because you won't be able to get the drill in there. If we were out doing an interior wall somewhere else in the house, we could drill straight up, then we'd be good. We'd have no problem. We could drill straight up into it. But because we're on an outside wall here, we're going to have to drill on an angle. So So here we go. This is just go slow and be methodical, and just keep checking to make sure that you're not going to be drilling into anything. And if we hit the bottom of a stud, we just have to move over a little bit. If we don't, great. That's kind of what I'm hoping is going to happen. So here we go. So now you can check, and not all the way through. You can check just to make sure that I don't see any daylight coming out of that hole, because it is daylight. You know, and as you're going up, you're kind of progressively pushing the drill inward as you get more space, as it gets higher up and there's more room. See that? So that broke through. I don't see any daylight. That's a good sign. Now I'm going to take, I've got this long piece of wire. You can use a fish tape. You can use whatever you need. I want to see how far this goes up the wall. Now there is going to be insulation in that wall, perhaps, but I want to see how far up it goes. And that looks real good. That went probably 4.5 to 5 feet up the wall. So that means that we should be able to fish wires up there to the new switch location. So that's pretty much it. It can be a little nerve-wracking the first time you do it. You're always worried about drilling up into the wrong thing. You're always worried about drilling up into the floor. Be careful, go slow. Make sure you make all your measurements accurate. Measure them twice if you have to. And have the right tools to do the job. And if you do, you should be able to do this successfully. And it's really something that for an electrician is an essential skill to be able to master, so that you can do this kind of old work in people's houses, and you don't have to worry about cutting away drywall and everything upstairs. That you can effectively fish wires from a basement or from an attic or whatever down wall spaces and not have to worry about causing any damage to the wall. So basically, when you walk away from the job, it looks like it's been there all along. There's no other damage that has to be repaired by the homeowner. So I hope this helped, and thanks for checking out the videos. I got a bunch of other ones. If you want to subscribe to my channel or like the video, I got a lot of other stuff, and I post things occasionally, and hopefully you find these helpful. I like to concentrate on the things that are sort of more the subtle skills of being an electrician that maybe aren't so glamorous. I mean, look at me, I'm working in a cobweb-filled basement, but you just got to do it sometimes. This is the work environment of an electrician. It's not just the showy stuff where you're building a new house and you're upstairs running wires through walls. There's this stuff too, and so it's stuff that you just have to know. So anyways, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you found it helpful, and good luck with your electrical work.